All right, gonna get started in a bit. Just trying to let some people hop on. All right. So this is gonna be a very chill, very maybe all over the place live stream. Mainly because I was not able to do it this morning. And why? Some of you may have seen my my story post about my cat, Cassian. I have a tuxedo cat that is a rescue cat. He's about 2 years old, And last night he was having some serious tummy troubles, so I was up until like after 3, trying to make sure that he was good. Because if you've ever had a cat that is having stomach issues, you know the obvious thing that they do is sing you the song of their people repeatedly at varying volumes that are usually increasing. So ultimately, that really took me out. I could not rouse myself in time to get to the ministry and actually do the live. And it also prevented me from preparing from some more thorough notes. Normally, I have my notes already and set for you guys. But yeah, and then the day also got away from me because I'm sure you're like, but you were here, why didn't you? So I'm actually pulling double duty this week, and thank you, Ronaldo. He is feeling much better, and that's the thing about cats. Last night, up until 4 o'clock in the morning, I thought he was gonna die. I'm so serious. And then when I finally woke up, like after like 7, because I think I got like maybe 2, 3 hours of sleep, um, he was parkouring off the walls, off the doors, and that's just the nature of a cat, especially a tuxedo cat. So he's feeling much better. And shout out to Dr. Glenn and his friends at the animal hospital down Kobe because they also had me come in and pick something up just in case whatever happened last night happens again. So thank you to them. Um, and yeah, hopefully that was the last that I'll have to see of that. But nevertheless, I am pulling double duty this week. So balancing not just the Ministry of ECYS, but also the Ministry of VRAMI. As you know, Minister Patrice Gums is currently at a energy conference in Curacao, along with Prime Minister Marcelina and Minister of Teat, Visha Helga Martin. So they are attending that. And while they're attending that, I am Deputy Vrami. No, do not contact me about your building permits or anything else, actually. I'm just trying to, manage what was already being worked on for the last week and make sure that there's follow up done on what has been pending for the last couple of weeks or so. So there will be follow ups and you will get them, but don't text me. I'm joking. You can. So yeah, so as I said earlier, I didn't really have much notes prepped. There are a couple, 1 or 2 updates, not necessarily anything like momentous. I thought it would be nice to kind of just have a stream if people have questions specifically that they want to ask. Treat this like a Reddit Ask Me Anything for now. Maybe I'll do an actual Ask Me Anything in the future that I can maybe promote a bit better. But yeah, think of this like that. Um, hot drink is coffee, and I desperately need it. It's my second cup for the day. It has been sustaining me, and we'll just have to see if it keeps me going. Just thinking about what Brown is going to have to say to me at the gym later. It's a lot of judgment. The hot take of the day. So I've been on this video game called Kick. Yeah, and I came across something that was allegedly said by or about characters in Pokemon Black and White. I've never played Black and White, but I thought that it was such a good quote that I wanted to include it anyway. And it basically reads, it's more important to master the cards you're holding than to complain about the ones your opponent was dealt. And I think that's why I picked it as a hot take to accompany my hot drink for today, is because, especially on St. Martin, in small communities in general. I don't want to just single out St. Martin, but in small communities in general, you kind of get this culture that develops where, how do you say, you're busy watching your neighbor yard when you should be watching yours. The grass is overgrown in yours, but you're watching about how he let 2 mangoes fall in his yard. And I think that that's kind of what that hot take is saying. You have to focus on mastering what you have in front of you, whether it's cards, a hand of dominoes. Um, I've seen people normally, when you're playing dominoes and you have 5 doubles, you pitch it in, and you got 4 doubles, you can't do much. But I've seen people win with 4 doubles in their hand. So you master that hand that you were dealt instead of worrying about what else is happening around you. So I think that's an important thing to remember. As we continue to move through this year. And by the way, 2025 is flying. Next week we are in June. Sunday we're in June. So it's definitely flying by. And would be a good point of time in the year to take stock and see, are you mastering what's directly in front of you, or are you more focused on, what's around you, or what the people around you have been dealt, or what they've received. And that's something that is very unfortunate, especially in our culture. Um, but I am hoping it is something that we can eradicate through persons that think differently. Um, and the word of the day is when I saw it, I was like, oh no, pulchritudinous, pulchritudinous, yeah. Literary, yeah, it's a word, is what I'm trying to say. Not something that I will try to pronounce ever again. But look it up for yourself. It's one of those words that does not, yeah, does not come off the tongue very easily. But that is the word of the day, and used in a sentence, it is Dan gazed admiringly at the pulchritudinous brunette. Not a word I would use to describe anybody. Physically beautiful, comely, that's what it means. But if you're gonna say that someone is physically beautiful, maybe just call them beautiful. Maybe just call them beautiful. No need to get all Shakespearean on it with pulchritudinous, because that is if someone called me that, I might fight them physically. Um, Ronaldo, are there any projections coming for hurricane season we should be worried about? Absolutely. I think yesterday or a couple of days ago, the National Hurricane Center uh, published that they expect the usual, like an active season, like 13 named storms or something like that, 5 to 6 major hurricanes. But that is usually the prediction. It's always, be very prepared for an active season, which is why I always urge people to prepare as if, something is coming. And I always try to gauge that whatever is coming, just prepare as if it's a category 2. Prepare for everything, but I think sometimes persons underestimate whatever is approaching. So just prepare as if it's catastrophe you're facing, even if it doesn't look like it's going to be catastrophe. And that is the projections that I actually wanted to look up the Atlantic hurricane, the storm names. This is something that I always do. And someone texted me and they were like, "You are on the list," and I said, "Am I?" And indeed, I am. This is about the second or third time that Melissa appears on the list. Um, and funny enough, I think one of my cabinet members as well, Erin, is also on the list. And but every time I've appeared, I think the most that has ever happened is a tropical storm, Melissa, and that's okay. That's all right. We don't need a hurricane bearing my name at all. Specifically to MECYS, I know some person saw the paper today, and yes, a response will be issued to Y2 on their questions regarding the 2% indexation and the vacation pay. And communication actually went out about the vacation pay already, um, but I'll be sending more as well. And the supervision of education law that I talked about before in Parliament and on stream, we received word that it's currently at the governor's cabinet, I believe, for further handling. Yes, try to tell your storm name to behave. I don't think either one of us as Virgos need to be any type of hurricane or storm. So yeah, so that legislation is there. There are quite a few updates that I have pending, but of course, persons take breaks. So I'm waiting for department heads to come in so I can have a much more comprehensive update on these particular topics when they return, and I can share them with you guys. Um, the study financing, out of state allowances that I mentioned in the previous stream, to help our kids mitigate the fallout from the cancellation of the Latin American Caribbean Scholarship Program for state universities and colleges in Florida. That I signed off on those last week. So that should be processed soon. So I'm hoping that it puts students a little bit more at ease, as well as their parents, to to know that they can continue with their studies. And That is as we continue to kind of see. I just earlier this morning, I got a call from someone who has a student who was approved to go to the United States, but has since changed their mind and now wants to go to the Netherlands. So I'm just urging everyone to really sit and consider the pros and cons of wherever you want to attend college. There used to be a very clear, there used to be pros and cons about going to the United States that had more to do with the state and the school that you were at than general geopolitical realities. But now I think, it's um, something that you have to consider and something you have to weigh. You see that the administration recently forbid Harvard from allowing international students to attend, which is a very interesting decision, considering that the Ivy Leagues are very dependent on international students for a lot of their funding, a lot of their income. So that's going to be something that we have to kind of watch develop and unfold as it does. And yeah, so those decrees, everything should have been signed off. So I hope that puts those students at ease. We're coming up to June, as I mentioned. So the EGRA and EGMA assessments are going to kick off. We also had a update call on the MMIS system, which is a information management system, basically, that's going to help the ministry kind of streamline student information, track student performance and teacher performance and everything, because it centralizes your data, which I think, as somebody who has talked about how we need really drill down data to be able to make proper decisions in government. And you need that anywhere, government, a business, whatever. I think this is a great step forward. So looking forward to the consultations that are going to be happening over the summer months with the different departments and division heads to make sure that information is provided and that we can really map out a system that is going to solve as many of the challenges that we face as possible. Because there is no such thing as a perfect system, but you need stakeholder consultation and engagement to craft as perfect as possible a system as you can. And what else? Flag Day, like I mentioned, June 13th, but then I also have to mention you should start preparing as well for Emancipation Day, which is the 1st of July. And that is something that the Department of Culture will also be putting on as celebration. Next week is the CSA conference that is happening, which I will be attending Culture Night, and I will be speaking at Culture Night on the 4th of June, which is going to be happening at, I believe, at Silcotton Grove in Friars Bay. So looking forward to that as well. And then, of course, next week we are expected to kick off with the promotion and announcement officially of the Dame Ruby Butte National Short Story Contest. And that will be, you'll get more details, you get the theme, all of that. And people were asking me, like, can you hint at the theme? What is the hint? And I said, well, maybe I can. Maybe I can hint with a word. And I would say that word is Wakanda. That's it. Yes. And it's not what you think. Um, when you hear the theme and you see the explanation of the theme, then you might get it. Yeah. But for those who do get it, keep quiet. Um, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that going live as well and sharing the theme and then being able to talk about the prizes that we've confirmed, and actually there may be a couple more surprises in store for the winners and participants. And I definitely want to urge everybody in that age group, 12 to 14, to start thinking about what you might want to write about. Parents, if you have a 12 to 14-year-old, start talking to them about the fact that this short story contest is coming up, and if they maybe want to participate. All the rules and such are going to be out next week as well. And as well, in the coming weeks, I'll be sending out my emails to the secondary schools for the youth cabinet, because I really want to see that kick off as well in September when everybody comes back and everybody's settled in for the new school year. And usual, communications to the school boards as well will be going out with some updates and adjustments that the ministry is going to be making and requesting. So definitely looking forward to all of that happening. So I'm happy that it's been a slightly okay week in MECYS, because as I mentioned, I am pulling double duty in Vrami, and there's quite a bit of what's happening. You had the emergency island-wide cleanup for Sargassum. Over the weekend, we had quite a few very large sargassum blooms that happened, and came ashore or clogged up the bays. And this is one of the byproducts of climate change. It's something that was always kind of occurring, but as of course with all things climate change related, it just gets exacerbated and made worse by the current situation facing our environment. So there were cleanups that were done. I've seen persons talk about how it could be collected, used as a fertilizer, but then you also had Mr. Tatsu Barevoots, formerly of Nature Foundation, talking about how the advice is not to use it as a fertilizer just direct, that there are processes that it should be put through to be able to ensure that it's not toxifying your plants and your crops actually. So that's something I also think we need to be cautious of, because usually the instant cry is how can we make money off of something, which is fine, but you have to do that responsibly, because not doing it responsibly is what leads to health issues in persons later on in life. So that's what's happening in the ministry of Rami. I wanted to also take some time out to congratulate the Guyanese community. They celebrated their Independence Day yesterday, so special congratulations to the people and the diaspora of Guyana. I saw the celebrations on my way home. It was winding down at the time on Sunday, and unfortunately, I could not be there, but I did have previously planned engagements, so I wasn't able to attend. But I did go last year, and that was a fit. So sad that I missed it. Didn't get my snow cone. Very upset about that. But ultimately next year I will be there. So looking forward to that. As well as all the other delicious treats like a cheese stick. Have you ever had a cheese stick, guys? Don't sleep on it. But yeah, so next week we will be back with a longer update, and then the week after I might not be in, but we'll see, because I do have a mission for one of the trust fund projects under my ministry coming up. In the meantime, though, as I said, hurricane season is coming up. It kicks off Sunday, 1st of June. But you can start preparing from now. Make sure that at any given point in time, you have your go bag ready with your passports, other important documents stored in watertight containers. Make sure that you have canned food and other non-perishables. Make sure that you have bottled water for at least 2 weeks. So if you look at your water and you say, I don't know if that can last 2 weeks now, re-up, and then after 2 weeks, reassess and repurchase if you have to, or just keep adding. I personally buy stuff for hurricane season, just put it in a corner as best I can. Grab a radio with batteries, and at least two changes of clothes, like underwear, shirt, pants, etc. And a bit of advice: if a storm is approaching and you have a internet device that is providing you with service via an antenna or a dish on your roof or so, take it down, top up your data, and survive off your data. Because when the storm passes, you'll be grateful that you took it down. Because then you can just put it back up and not have to be like many persons after our last hurricane who were waiting 3 to 5 months for reconnection because an antenna flew off their roof and they had to buy back a whole new setup, because that's how it works. I'm just giving you that pro tip, um, so that you're aware and that you don't find yourself at risk of losing your internet connectivity in totality. So thank you again for tuning in. I know it was a short one. I apologize. Well, actually, no, the cat should apologize. Next week, sorry, we'll have definitely more updates for you, as I hopefully will not have to deal with a cat that is screeching down the house at 2 in the morning. And then we'll be able to update on some other pieces of legislation that I know I've talked about in Parliament and here on the live stream. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., actually, I am in the breakfast lounge with Lady Grace. For those who are maybe not able to catch the live stream and you listen to Grace on your way into work, or listen to Grace at work, I'll be there talking a bit about MECYS and whatever else Grace would like to ask me about. Because one thing with her, you can't, you don't run the show, you don't run Grace, Grace runs you. So yeah, so see some of you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great rest of the afternoon, and see you guys next week. Well, tomorrow and next week. Bye.